Welcome to Lessons from the Woodlot. This is episode 12. If you guys don't know, you can win a free farm if you go on our YouTube page, and all you have to do is subscribe. We'll be giving that farm away. We got a little bit of intel this week from a good buddy of ours that there is a banging 3-year-old 10-point on that farm that is going to be something special. So we're starting to get the trail cam pictures. We're going to go in there this summer. Mark's going to put his twist on it and have that thing turnkey ready for you guys. You're going to walk in. We're really, really excited. Somebody's going to win the farm next September. So again, YouTube, all you have to do is subscribe and you're entered to win. You can go to winitfarm.com. You can also register there as well, and we'll be giving that farm away. Today's episode 12, Mark. We've been doing this for a while now, so we're at episode 12. And for those of you who don't know, we are shooting from, if you didn't watch the last episode, we're shooting from Mark's brother's garage. I am in the middle of chasing Mad Hatter, who is our #1 target buck this year, who happened to show up and stay at our farm. Unfortunately, Mark's #1 buck, it showed up at public game.
In the back of a truck.
In the back of a pickup truck. So somebody went home with a 208-inch.
I think 6 and something, but
206, 208.
208, yeah, it's the same thing.
Somebody went home and
starts with a curly number.
Yeah. It had a 2 at the beginning. So as we continue to hunt for Mad Hatter, I am dressed in full garb. I will leave here and go right back to the woods. So Mark's brother was gracious enough to allow us to come in here and shoot the episodes so we could keep content coming to you guys. Again, thank you guys for all the likes, subscribes. We're over 1,000 now on YouTube, which was really cool to see, and that number grows daily. So again, thanks for following. Thanks for interacting with us. We appreciate all the feedback we've had. I think it's been positive. We've started to meet fans, which is a kind of unique thing. I prefer to just nobody know who I am and it just be a good life. But we were at Julian's taxidermy shop with this said buck that we're going to talk about on today's episode. And there was a gentleman in there, and Julian had replied to Mark, "It looks like I get to mount another one." And the guy saw that and just instantly knew that Mark wasn't going to take his deer just anywhere. So he drove his deer. I don't know where he's from, Des Moines or whatever. He's a really nice guy. But he drove it down to Julian to have it taken care of and mounted. And Julian does a good job for us, Julian Loker. And if you don't know and you're in Iowa and you shoot a big one, you can take it to Julian. He does an exceptional job, and he does all of our stuff too. So, and in fact, that was kind of our running joke for the week. My wife, who's not a big fan of deer heads in the house, ever, really. I showed her Mad Hatter's recent picture, and she's like, "Hey, what are we doing on taxidermy on that thing? Are you taking that to that Julian guy?" And I said, "Yeah, that's what we're doing." She's like, "Yeah, that doesn't work for me this year, just so you're aware." I'm like, "What do you mean it doesn't work for you?" And she's like, "Well, so Mark has this thing. He just gives the deer to Julian and says, make it look the best it can. He's the artist. We're not the artist. He's the artist." So I did the same thing as Mark last year. I'm like, "Wow, that was pretty easy. I don't have to pick right, left, turn, just make them look good." So I did that. And my wife's like, "Yeah, that's a piece of art. I'm going to have a say in that this year." So to my wife, I love you very much. Thank you for allowing me to be away from the family for 6 weeks to chase this deer. You can have it mounted any which way you like.
Just as long as we have it to mount.
As long as
we have it to mount, that's it. That's it. We're in.
As long as it's in the dining room and it's somewhere where Zach Womble can go over and pet it, it'll be in good shape. So that's our only requirements. But let's get into today's episode. We have a special guest with us here today, Clay Pitcher from Iowa. And Clay and Mark, they have some history, go back many years. And this is going to be a really, really fun story about Mark's recent kill. Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you get us started with an introduction for Clay.
Yeah. So my introduction to Clay goes back many, many years. I'm going to kind of tell our age a little bit here, Clay. I'm sorry, buddy, but goes back to my Jury Outdoors years. Essentially, I remember when I first met Clay. Clay and Tom were team Pitcher and Poplinski with Jury Outdoors in the Dream Season. The original, the OG Dream Season is Clay Pitcher and Tom Poplinski. Team Wisconsin, I believe it was, and not bragging on you, but I'll brag on you. You guys won that year, I do believe.
Yeah, we did.
And so, I mean, you are essentially undefeated in that, in that sense, I guess. But you know, and every year they do a you know, the juries that did a like a team meeting, you know, before the year, get together, you know, kind of celebrating the prior year's successes and so on and so forth. Kind of having a little award show, you know, gather the troops, if you will, and pump them up going into the season. It was fun. It was fun. It was. Everybody loved it. Usually it was done at Dave and Buster's, you know, or whatever.
Yep. Dave and Buster's, I remember that place.
So that was where we went. And it was a lot of fun. But I met Clay there, and you know, it's just those people you hit it off with. You just click. You got the same personality, I guess you could say, and you're just, you know, you're drawn to that person, and you're like, dude, I could, you know, this could be more than just. You know, we're going to be friends. You can tell that. You know, it's like stepbrothers. You know.
Yeah.
You know, we just become best friends. Yeah. So anyway, we had it all, and we've kept, you know, in constant contact basically since then. You know, and then Clay then ended up moving to Iowa, and you know, we've kind of somewhat by proxy kind of hunted together ever since, you know, and in a roundabout way, you know. So, and it's kind of cool, it's kind of funny how to do that, because if there's a big deer somewhere and I have access to it, I'm probably going to go hunt it. And I think Clay thinks, and, you know, Clay all the time, he's like, listen, I just don't hate him that bad anymore. You know, he's like, you just drive across the state, go load up in a hotel and live like a Viking for 2 weeks trying to shoot a deer. You know, he's like I'm a creature of comfort a little bit better, you know, or a little bit more now, you know, but.
As you get older, you want to be comfortable.
As you get older, you know, the priorities change a little bit. And you're like, okay, that one stand that's really light that's not that comfortable anymore. I really don't want that thing. I would rather have a comfortable stand where I can sit all day in, you know. Yeah. Because for whatever reason, you get in the not so comfortable stands, and by the time you get done with the day, your back and your body hurts so bad, and you're like, oh gosh, I don't know if I can do this again tomorrow. But guess what? We set the alarm and we do it again tomorrow, you know. Yeah. Anyway, so, you know, kind of right off the get-go, I was going to kind of turn it over to Clay a little bit and, you know, tell us as much or as little about yourself as you would like to. And it's perfectly fine. We have also found that the ugly side of hunting, and we're trying to get away from this, we're trying to stop people from doing this, but, you know, I have found that people will pretty much follow your vehicles, you know. Yep. They want to know where you're hunting, because if you're hunting and they know who you are, you know, they know you're hunting a big deer. Yep. And then the next thing you know, there's a parade of things. So I'm not going to, what would we say? What do the young folks say these days? I'm not going to blow up your spot, you know. So we'll leave it like that. You know, we have collective permission and stuff in
various areas
of Iowa.
Lots of areas of Iowa.
From that, I'll let you take it over for a little bit. I'll have questions for you, you know, and so on and so forth. But Clay, go ahead and lead us off here.
So, as you said, we met on juries, stayed in contact. I think Eric Hale's another person that we've kind of, you know, as you guys went into your own thing with Eric, we kind of stayed in contact that way. So when I moved to Iowa, you know, I was planning on hunting public ground in Iowa when I got here, because I didn't have a place to hunt. We kind of talked about that, got turned on to some stuff, got some permission, got some different stuff going. So that was kind of the big thing. Got me off of public ground, which in Iowa was pretty good, but I'd rather hunt private if I can. Right. I mean, anybody would, right?
Yep.
I do have access to, a friend of mine has got a bunch of ground in south central Iowa, but I feel awkward hunting. He says I can hunt, but I feel awkward hunting it. So kind of try to do my own thing, put it that way. So with that being said, like I like to look for a big deer. It's what I like anymore. I don't even much care about killing them as much. Mm-hmm. I like to find them. I like to hunt them. Don't get me wrong. I like to hunt them, but my time is restricted as you know, as I work a lot, and you know, in the fall is usually our busy time, so we're always busy in the fall. So hunting takes a back burner slightly, but I do try to get on a big deer every year, and it's been successful for the most part of getting on them. Killing them's a different story, right?
Right.
That's where Mark comes in.
I knew you guys had some kind of connection, because the first time I ever heard your name, he shows me a picture, and I'm like, what in the hell is that? And he's like, oh, that's a deer I just told my partner Clay he could kill. And I'm like, I ain't never seen a deer that big, and you just handed that deer to someone? And he's like, well, we reciprocate. Like, you know, I just told him, hey, we got plenty of deer this year. Like, you go chase it. Yeah. And I think it was a 6x6 split brow. I was like, good Lord. Like, that thing was, that was the first time I ever heard your name. And I'm like, dude, I need friends like that. Good God.
That deer had 6 or 7 brows, I think.
It was
about 200 inches.
Oh, he was definitely.
But you know, and you know, I keep saying, not to cut you off, Clay, but I keep saying that I want to make it fun again. I want it to be like it used to be, and I have surrounded myself, and I think you guys have too, with people that you trust, you know, that you can talk to, you can talk about, you can share things, you can share, you know, pictures and all of that, and trust that they're not going anywhere, they're not, you know, whatever, and we can use our heads, and if any one of us are successful, we are as happy for that person as the next person, you know, and as the person that shot it, to be quite honest with you. And that matters. That means something to me. It more so than the deer anymore. It's the memories, and it's the people, and it's the time, and it's experiences. And I know that people say, oh, that's a cliche statement, whatever. I'm dead serious. I would much rather have that experience with my buddies and so on and so forth, and be able to talk about it, to go over it, to scheme, and you know, that's the fun part. It matters. And when there is a success, or when there is an encounter, or when there is a, gosh dang it, he beat me, he did this, can you believe that? Next thing you know, maps are going back and forth in text and all of that stuff, and you know, for you know, people back home, this is one of them. This is one of the, for me, this is one of the behind the scenes guys that I talk to nonstop with pictures and scheming, and you know, just bouncing something off as somebody as a sounding board. It's so important, in my opinion, to use somebody else as a sounding board, because you might be extremely intelligent and extremely good at what you're doing here, but sometimes that other person just might have something that just brings up that you didn't think about. They might see something that you just didn't, or ask the question that you didn't ask yourself, and it be the reason that the deer dies. Yeah. And it just is.
It's that fresh set of eyes.
It every 100% is.
We do it so often, just a different set of eyes on it, and it makes a big difference sometimes. Just a little tweak or a little whatever, it just makes a big difference.
It makes a big difference, and you know, to Clay's credit, you know, that particular year, there was a big double drop tie that showed up. You know, we knew the deer from the year before, and he was a clean 8 for the most part. You know, it was what we thought was a 4-year-old, really nice, mid-40s type 8-point deer. Right. And then the next year, velvet pictures, and well, he threw 2 big giant drops, and just big framing sucker. Gorgeous deer, and I think he ended up in the 170s somewhere, right?
I think so. I honestly don't know if I
heard that, but
ended up at.
He ended up doing a little bit of a false shift on us, and when he did that, he ended up a mile and a half away, and there was an outfitter, and he's a buddy of ours too, over that way, and one of his clients ended up killing it, and I can't remember exactly what it scored, but it was in the 170s, nice, I thought. Really nice deer. But my point with this is that deer was the first big deer that we had a picture of that year out there, and Clay was like, your deer. He's like, he's got drops, go after him. You know, and the reason I'm even bringing that up is that is the type of circle that I want to surround myself in, you know. And he's the first big deer, and he's a big old 8 with big double drops. And Clay's like, unselfishly, I know this is the monkey on your back. Go, you know, and I, you know, it means something to me. That's to, you know, for them to understand how strongly that thing was riding on my shoulders. You know, it meant a lot to me, you know. So fast forward, so he ended up shifting, and we never even had that deer to hunt. You know, come season, to our knowledge, as far as that deer walking on a farm that we had access to, I don't think it happened.
No, we looked hard for him.
Trust me when I say we looked hard, above and beyond most of the time. Yeah. But then later on in the year, you know, this big multi-browed daggers, stickers, trash, just, oh, he's a gorgeous deer. He's so ugly, he's gorgeous, is what it was, you know. Yeah.
I'd shoot him on days that end in Y.
Oh yeah. He just had a lot going on. He was busy, and his beams were just, because he had so much stuff, they just looked like baseball bats. He's a gorgeous deer, but.
If you need a friend like Clay at home, just drop in the comment section, because I don't have a friend that calls me with a 190-inch, 200-inch deer and is like, you take it. Like, I haven't ascended to that level yet, so maybe you haven't at home, but that's a friend.
Well, we got, you know, and this deer shows up, and he's like, man, you should go. And I'm like, there's not a chance. I'm not going. I mean, listen, you gifted me that other deer, whether he was here during season or not. You had no idea that was going to be the case. Yeah. You did that for me. Listen, I'll do everything I can do to help you kill that deer. Just go after him, you know. And that's the type of relationship we've had, and we've maintained that, you know. Yeah.
It's back to making hunting fun again.
It is.
Like,
but we have a blast. I had more fun. You know, this year, you know, and that type of hunting than because, you know, every night when you're done hunting, you know, okay, well, let's look at the pictures. What did the deer do today? You know, or what did the deer that I'm hunting, you know, everywhere do, you know? And then again, you're scheming and thinking and, you know, whatever. And so this goes back, I guess the first story that kind of leads into this one was it 3 years ago?
The Big 8?
The Big 8?
Yeah, the with drops. Yeah, that's where. Well, it actually goes back 1 year prior to that.
That's what I'm saying. The Big 8 that I ended up shooting there.
Yeah.
That it was another year kind of like this one, you know, where just, you know, everything that was supposed to go right didn't, and it was all wrong, and I was struggling to have a good deer to hunt, and Clay had got us permission on a farm, and this is something that we have started doing, especially in recent events of DNR and the cultism that they tend to get themselves on, is we started getting written permission, you know, you know, with names, you know, because I don't trust anybody anymore. So anyway, Clay had got us written permission on a piece. It was 3.5 hours from my house, something like that. And we were getting pretty consistent pictures with that, and we started breaking down the winds, you know, with the pictures. And I won't tell the story. I'll let you tell.
The crazy part about that story is that you just are like, I don't have anything. I'm like, just go over and hunt that deer. I don't have time to hunt over there. Just go hunt that deer. So you did, drove, and you went out there, and I mean, you said, this is what's amazing about this. Mm-hmm. You'll appreciate this. Mark said, in the camera, I can see the tree I need to kill the deer out of. He's like, I can see the tree. He goes, I'll see what it gets like when I get in there. When I see the tree, I want to kill him. And he hung in that tree and killed that deer.
The same day.
That night. I mean, that night he killed him. I was just amazed.
I drove 3.5 hours across the state. My wife went with me. So I'm like, I don't know how long I'm going to be. So she's like, well, I'll go, you know. And so she actually enjoys the peace and solitude of being in a hotel for some days, you know. Probably because she started picking up after my ass, but I could be wrong. But, you know, it gives her a reprieve. But anyway, all that being said, we went across the state in the morning, and I was, so that day it was one of those little Magic X days. But it wasn't going to take place until the afternoon. There were strong winds coming through. It was south and it was warmer than normal. And that day there was a big strong wind, northern wind front that came through. And then that wind was supposed to lay down like mid-afternoon. And I told him, I'm going over. I'm going to get up. I've got everything ready to go, leaving at 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever. On the way there, beep, and the phone goes off, and check the notifications or whatever, and there was a cell cam picture, and that deer had literally walked in front of the camera, picture of it, and he's right in front of a tree that I was going, and I'm like, oh, there you go. I done missed it. You know, look, I knew it was going to happen today. I just didn't think it was going to happen this early.
Right.
You know, and so anyway, we went and got in and got a hotel. And they let me check in early. So I checked in. I checked in, got my wife all settled in, whatever. Changed clothes, went hunting. Got in there, hung that stand. In that tree. And it's pretty funny because I think we were sending texts back and forth.
We were.
And I I circled
Matter of
the
fact,
tree.
I think I still got the picture of that X of the tree.
I'm like, he's
Right there.
dying right there. And anyway, I went in, I went in and hung and got in that tree, and then he come following down that afternoon.
Yeah.
Whacked him, and I texted him and said, I just smashed him. He's like, are you kidding me? So he shows up and helps me get him. And we get him out and all that stuff. And he's like, he's shaking his head. He's like, I do not believe this. He's like, you just rolled in on a farm you've never seen in your life. You've not ever been there a day in your life. You looked at aerials, you looked at pictures, and you're like, I know where to kill him. And you went in and you set in that tree and you smashed him. There's actually, if you remember, there's actually trail cam pictures of the deer walking to me, and you can see me in the tree.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
getting ready to whack him. You know, it's
that's pretty wild.
It's pretty funny because there's actually, I think we got a text thread where there's actually the picture, and I've got an X right there.
Yep.
Like, and then you know, later on that next day or whatever it was, here he is walking right to me. So anyway, so that one went down, and then I think he was thinking I was better than I actually am at that point. A blind squirrel finds it out every now and again, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm here to tell you that's bullshit.
I am too.
I'm here to tell you that's bullshit. I've seen it
There's
time
more proof
and
of it right there.
Yeah.
So fast forward to this year, and I'll let you tell the story to this one. Number 22, I think you guys named him that.
22.
That's gonna stick, I think.
I'm sorry. What was that?
What was? Can you remind me again?
Yeah, it's
what?
22 to
Okay.
nothing.
22.
Nothing.
Okay.
Still nothing. Zero. Zip zero.
I think it's 0.5 though, because I think it's 0.5.
Listen.
I think you've moved that needle a little bit, because I'm gonna tell you right now, the one you shot is big.
He's a big boy.
It's a big deer.
But I will say this, in my defense, the Lord has always had my back. And if somebody would have offered to bet any amount of money in the world that 3 booners would step foot in front of this guy and one of them would go home in his truck, I don't care if it's a mil, I don't care if it's 100, I don't care if it's 1,000, I don't care what, I would have taken that bet. And, to have 3, so then I just said, hey, the Lord's got my back. Because it really should be 24 to nothing right now, Clay.
The score,
if we're not lying.
The good Lord could have run up the score.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you,
Yeah.
because there's 3 of them that should have been in the truck. Yeah.
There were some getaways, which
Yeah.
which is not indicative of Mark Luster typical.
Right,
So,
right. 100%. Well, Ozzy was one of them,
Aussie,
right?
yeah,
Ozzy was
Aussie,
one
and
of them.
then the big 8.
Which that one, I mean, we were talking. That deer's dead. He don't even know it yet. And
So you're the reason it jinxed me.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jinx you, but I was just like, that deer is walking, and he doesn't even know he's not going to make it very much longer.
Yeah.
But, you know,
He should not have.
Circumstances the way they were.
Well,
it is what it is.
there's round 2 coming.
Well, that's true. He's still.
There's round 2 coming.
Yeah.
I've still got bad intentions for that deer.
Okay.
So,
That's good.
we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
As long as I bring Mad Hatter home this year and get my first one, those two, that'll be it'll be a year.
I mean, when Tim said, I mean, I'm like, what's your dream? You know, because don't get me wrong, and this is not a shot at Tim. I'm saying that Tim's done very well for himself in many different ways, and I'm like, you know, what do you give a guy that can kind of obtain whatever he wants? You know, well, you give him something that maybe it can't be necessarily purchased. It can't be, you know, whatever. Let's get him in on his dream, on his goal. And when I asked him his dream his first time, he's like, I want a 200 typical. And I busted up laughing.
In my face. He's like, I'm 51. I've seen one.
So you want a unicorn. The things don't exist. You could have said, I want to win a $10 billion lottery, and it'd been about the same odds.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, but that's what he shot out at me. And again, I don't want to big eye it or whatever, but
He's a big typical.
He's a big typical.
He's a big
I mean, he is a big typical. I don't know what that number is, and I don't know that it's 200, but I will say that it's the biggest typical that I have seen that we have been able to go after in any way since Zeus, who was the 200 typical. So, the good Lord blessed you with the animal walking on a farm at which you can hunt, and we've moved him there. That's home.
He's home.
He's home. So, I mean, we are in that game.
I just need to be right once. Just
one time.
And
that little juggling match has been really close. We had you
we're dancing
50 yards from him the other night.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
But I mean, I think that's the whole thing of it. Like, you know, I could see, you know, Steve Pinkston. I don't know if you know Steve. He owns Hardcore E-Cycle.
Okay, yep.
He's a big deer killing. I mean, he just every year. And he knows the deer I'm chasing. And like my bike, we had a mishap on the way back from Kansas, and my bike was messed up. And Mark dropped it off in Ohio to him, and he knows the deer I'm chasing, so he's like, I'll just drive it all the way to. He brought my bike all the way from Ohio to Iowa so I could keep staying in the stand. And so I'm like, man, just go hunt my farm. You know, if you're coming all the way out here, bring your bow. You hunt my farm in Illinois. And he's just one of those guys. He continues to kill these big deer. And he introduced the love of photography to me, of photographing deer.
Yeah.
And he's like, Tim, it's like another season.
Yeah.
Like you have that. Well, then Mark, when I moved to Iowa, took me down gravel roads where you have no cell phone reception. And as a dude from Florida that gets excited when 140-inch deer's in front of him, right? Mark's learning from my friends from Florida. They get very excited about deer. And, you know, to be riding down the road and seeing all those things, and like now I enjoy videoing them as much as I enjoy actually hunting them, which is a weird, but I think there's maybe, as you progress, you're like, man, I want to take people on the hunt with me. So I think we got some pretty good video, and this year I've got a big old mature buck dogging a doe coming through these tall grass and beans, and it's like, it's everything you've ever wanted to see on a hunting show, but like I'm watching it, and I'm like, what a shame if I'm the only human in the whole world that gets to watch this dance. Right. And so now we're dancing with the big boy, and I smile every morning because, like, you know, I called my wife today. She's like, I'm living my best life. I'm good. Keep chasing him. Come home when he's dead. You know, like, so, you know, when you have that, when you have that family support to be able to chase a deer like that, I don't want to live in the cobblestone hotel. Yeah. You know, I don't. It's, you know, the bed is not my Tempur-Pedic. You know, it's. I'm a little bit spoiled as I get older. So, you know, these things, you know, they shape us. But I could see how kind of like, you know, when I was talking to you, you're like, man, I love hunting these things down. I love to pattern these deer. Yeah. And I think, you know, as we mature as hunters, there's all these other phases. But it's cool to watch like the family of people in our circle. That is just like, you know, same thing. Like, you know, if I had a question, I could run it by, you know, Mark, and then you were like, one thing I love about you, Clay, and is that you told me, you're like, Look, I hope it's 40-0. Mark's my buddy. Like, you know, everybody needs a real friend like that. Like, you know, and most
you can have one.
I mean, one or two. I mean, you know, I appreciate you let me have a couple. But you know, I think everybody needs to have a friend like that. And I think today with so much land ownership, the way land's owned, hunting camp has really kind of dissolved. You know, and so we have buddies, and they're all trying to get close to Burlington on the Illinois side and buy land so they can hang out at the house afterwards, and we can go to dinner, and we can talk about what we saw. And I always think of that, it's almost like a fellowship of hunters, you know?
Yep. It's almost like bringing deer camp back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we can go out and hunt our own spots, whatever, but we can also try and help each other out. You know, if food plots need to get put in, well, we'll collectively get the food plots in. If we got stuff that gets done, you know, hanging stands, you know, getting blinds. You know, just that's the fun part.
Yeah,
that's the fun part.
You don't realize, because I've hunted alone for a long time. I was, you know, back in the day with juries, and I mean, it's all I did was hunt. That's all I did. I was obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Then I got away from it some, which was okay, but then coming back into it now, I have the passion back. But it's not necessarily that I have to kill a deer anymore. It's more of just finding them, and you know, I'm ecstatic. And I mean, when Mark killed that deer, it was like I killed it almost. It was just as fun going in there to trap.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way. I happened to be down on another farm, and I was changing the camera or something. I don't know what time it was. 10 o'clock in the morning. What time? I don't even know what time
10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 9:30, something like that. And I get a text, and it just said I smashed him. And I know Mark ain't playing. I know that. So and I had no signal hardly. I couldn't call. We were trying to call. He didn't have no signal where he was, so I'm trying to call.
That's why there's big deer. Remember?
Yep.
And I mean,
common theme there.
Yeah, right.
Common theme.
Common theme, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm going across this field at about 40 miles an hour in a truck in a bean field, just trying to get to the road to get going and get over to Mark. But and that was, like I said, more fun than anything. And I don't know if you want to back up to
go ahead.
100%.
Story of this year, kind of that's where you
100%.
started.
Go for it.
You know, our other permission piece that we got together, there was 2 big deer on that.
Speaking of, one of them daylighted this morning under the tree.
I know. I got the picture.
I got him coming over here to do this. He got the day off. He can hunt. He's coming over to do a favor for me. And I sent him a picture. And I'm like, hey, he's standing under the tree stand. And I think it's the big 12 that he wants to shoot.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. It's rough. It's rough.
He's a great
guy. Again, I don't care anymore. Honestly, I would like to kill a deer. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's what we are as hunters. But I don't have to kill a deer anymore. That's kind of how I approach it. But yeah, we had 2 big deer on that permission, and I didn't. I went and hunted one evening, and now it's getting later in the year, right? And Mark said, yeah. I said, go kill one of those 2 deer. Go kill them. And I mean, I don't know. You can kind of elaborate a little bit more onto it because I wasn't specifically there. You were there, but again. You kind of have this gut feeling. You get it, I know. I'm sure you do. I just had a gut feeling he was going to kill one of those deer that night. I guarantee. I would have bet a lot of money that he was going to kill one of those deer that night, and he had his chance. It's Mark Luster's luck this year. I get it.
That big eight with the split brows, man. That pop. And here's the thing about it. The pop, it actually shot, which I didn't know at the time, but I wasn't about to, you know, once it did that, it was one of those situations where I'm not going to reload around. Not until I can break that breech down and everything, because I don't know what I don't know, you know. Yeah. And you go double load around and you blow the barrel up and potentially hurt yourself bad or worse, you know.
Yeah, because there's 87 grams of gunpowder in that load.
You know, yeah.
So just to clarify, you were early muzzleloader hunting.
Early muzzleloader, yeah.
Sitting in a spot that we had a pretty good feeling you were going to see one or both of those deer, and sure enough, I mean,
you rattled that one too. Didn't you?
I rattled. Yeah, I waited till about 5 to 10 minutes after sunset, you know, just right at sunset type range, just as soon as the sun, you know, broke off the side of the hill there, and it just shadowed out everything. I hit them antlers, and I mean, it was almost instantly, and up over the crest of that hill, here he comes, head up, and he's standing there, and all you can see is like the top of his back, you know, his neck up. Just he got enough that he could see over the top, you know, and he's standing there. And again, and I'm trying to film, you know, and self-film, and I mean, I'm like, I got the tripod, and it's faced this way, and then he's this way, and I'm, you know, a little bit of panic mode, and I'm like, okay, and he's looking, you know, so, and I'm waiting for him to move his head and stuff for me to move, and then whenever he put his head down, and when he put his head down, I couldn't see him at all, you know, once his head went down. So I'm like trying to move stuff and get myself turned around. And then nothing. I'm like, I don't know which way he went. Now, I've rattled at him, and I've seen him now, you know, all of my experience says he's headed downwind, if he can. He's already in the field, but there was a low spot, little ditch over there. So I'm kind of really keyed in on that, because my wind's like this, and he's over here. He's coming up, quartered into the wind, but he can't see what he thinks he should be seeing. So I'm like, he's going to circle. So I'm going to get set up there, and I set for like, I don't know, a minute or two, just aimed at where I think he's going to come from around the backside of the hill. And it don't happen. I'm like, you know, so now it's like panic set, because it's look this way, but if he pops out over here, I mean, I'm not going to see him possibly, you know, if I'm completely focused. So now I'm kind of like, oh no, well, let me try to see if I can at least get his head up again, so I at least have some kind of direction where this deer's at. So I got down between my legs, and and then here he come again, and he hadn't moved. He was just head down over the top. And then here he come, and he stomps up over the hill, and he's looking like that. He's walking more, and he's looking. I'm like, you know, I got that. I mean, that muzzleloader reach out and touch him. I mean, we call it AT&T for a reason, you know. It'll reach out and touch something, you know. So, but anyway, I'm like, well, I'm going to let him make this as chip shot as I possibly can, you know. He walks all the way to about 80 yards. Well, there's 4 does and fawns over here that have now walked in. Now I can see them over there, and now he sees them, so now he kind of half turned towards him. So I've got this whole front shoulder, you know, somewhat quartered to, and I just put it right on that shoulder, and I'm like, you're not taking a step. Pop.
Thank you, Lord. My man.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
21-0. That was the score.
So it was. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, buddy. That was one of those that I had. I crashed out a little bit. I'm gonna say. I'm just saying there was a bit of a crash out, because what else do you do?
Yeah.
You know, you take the gun, you break it completely apart, and you clean it. You make certain everything's good to go. You pop your cap through it, you dry patch it, you make certain, or you at least think you got her all dried up. Now, most people then would have turned around, loaded that weapon, put it in the thing, got themselves all ready, prepped themselves, and went. And I'm like, nope, I'm not going to let that stuff sit in there for 4 hours if I don't have to. I will just load it there. Make certain that stuff is all fresh, good, whatever, right when I'm going on it. So when I was getting ready to load it again, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to pop another. So I put another cap in there, popped a second cap through it. Just make certain she's good and dry. Now, what else am I supposed to do to make certain that gun goes off? Yeah, all I can say is 21-0. I mean, the Lord didn't want that to happen, because there's guys that's got loads left in there from last year that'll go hunting, and it will work flawlessly, you know. And you're like,
yeah. So what did I tell you? Remember what I told you about that? I said, you're destined to shoot bigger deer.
You did say that.
I did, and
you did say that. So
he's bigger and has stripes.
So let's fast forward, a week, 10 days after that. something like that.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Picture comes in. You get a video picture of a pretty nice deer.
Which I didn't think was that big, but you seem to think it was really big.
It was really big, and then there was another one that you knew very well on that farm.
Yes.
You know? So there was two really nice deer on that particular farm, but both of them happened to have something in a southerly direction.
Yes.
So at this point, I'm pretty certain the Lord's flooding the box of drop tines, so I have options, you know. But and I told you this more than a few times. I think I told you both. I'm like, listen, I have a unique situation. I have a farm that has 2 shooter class drop tines on. I'm going to put up stands for every wind direction, and if it is daylight, I'm going to be in a tree until one of them makes a mistake, and that's the way it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And I think I told you that more than
you did.
More than once. I'm like, I'm going to do it. But so then the 30th, we're up on that. I'm up on that particular farm, and we hung a stand a couple days prior to that.
Yeah.
And it was for that particular farm. It's as good of a stand as you can have, you know. And it probably will still at some point kill a big deer out of it, without question. But you're a spoke, you know. You're on one of the spokes, and you're not on the hub. And I leave on the 30th. I leave for lunch, and I've told this story, kind of hinted to it on the previous episode, but when I left, I just like, I seen the guy's house, and I'm like, I mean, what's he gonna do? Say no? You know, I mean, let's ask.
Yeah.
And I will say, this is an area of the state that, you know, if a guy has 200 acres, okay, there's probably 193 of that is tillable.
Yes.
And there's 7 acres if you stretch it out like silly putty and then just make it a creekway. That's your cover.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically, they're just and I've talked about this nonstop about how I constantly find the bigger deer out where you just don't think that they are. But again, any particular area only needs a few years of the guy that hunted it, or gal, whatever, or guy and gal, or whatever, that hunted it previous years to have moved, left, sold, whatever. And now all of a sudden that little hole doesn't see hunting for a couple years, and all of a sudden your 2 and 3 year olds or 5 and 6 year olds, and something really big is out there not being messed with in any way.
Yep.
You know, and it's some of my favorite hunting.
To that point, you would not believe, well, you know, because you've seen a lot of them, but to that point, some of the deer that I find out in the middle of there's not a tree on the farm.
Yep.
And I mean, that's some of the best hunting, in my opinion. Everybody looks at it and goes, I'm not hunting. There's nothing to hunt.
There's nothing to hunt.
Yeah, one of our best farms has no trees.
Yeah, there you go.
Literally
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero trees.
Zero.
Hey, there's a cottonwood in the ditch at the road.
Yeah.
If you want to call that a tree on the farm, maybe. But it literally has nothing. But I mean, so, 2 big drop tine shooters, on this farm, whatever, and I'd rattled earlier. I'd rattled one time, and had a 150 class 10-point come in on me, and you actually got pictures of it because the truck camera was 20 yards away, and he come in. And I let him go. He came straight to the tree, and he did something unique I hadn't seen him do before. But once he got past me, he dumped down into that, because that creek, that ditch weighs 20 feet, 25 feet deep. It's almost got its little ecosystem inside, because the waterway isn't, more than 3 or 4 feet wide, but, it's really deep. Like, there's a lot of topsoil there or whatever. But anyway, all that being said, he went right down the center of the ditch. Like, when he dipped in, he went right down the center of the...
Which is odd,
I was like, man alive, I can't believe he did that. But that's what he did. Anyway, when I left for lunch there that day, I'm like, well, what's worse going to happen? I can stop by and ask. And I did. And when he gave me permission, I called him. I called him as soon as I got done, and I'm like, "You are not gonna believe what just happened." I'm like, "This guy just gave me permission, and it is going to kill this deer, or one of the two deer."
Yeah.
And I'll let you take it from here.
Well, yeah, I mean, you sent me that text, and I knew, of course, I know where you're talking about, and 100% right. The key was getting access onto that piece to have the best chance. You could have killed him on the other piece, but
yeah.
But I think where you went was the perfect spot. I mean, that was by far what we needed to be successful quickly.
Yeah. Well, and then like I said, I got in there and got that stand hung, and then again, and this is something, this is one of those lessons that I keep trying to pound home. It was so good. I'm like, I'm going to hunt this right now. So I went and got all my stuff, came back, got in the tree, and then dead calm. And then, as I said in the last episode, I was sitting up there and I let go of that milkweed, and it initially went the right direction, but then the next thing you know, here it come past my face, and then it hooked north, and I'm like, I'm out, I'm done, let's get out. So I bounced out of there, and I'm like, I'm just not gonna blow up a killer set just because I really want to set it.
Right.
You know, it's the right spot, it's the right set, it's in the right tree. It just is not good if you're gonna go hunt it when it's not right. You're gonna educate them. And then I backed out, and then I called him, and he's like, "Did you already kill him?" I'm like, "No."
Right?
That's
a valid
right.
question.
Why are you not ready?
See, I'm glad to know there's somebody else that lives the same. I'm like,
no. I'm like, it wasn't right. I'm like, the wind was it was going all over. It just wasn't. I'm going to educate him there. And then, so I backed out, and I didn't hunt again. I mean, and if you remember, the last time I talked about doing that was with Aussie on September 15th, opening day. And I can't be more geeked up to go hunting, but when it ain't right, and you got to leave, or you're going to ruin what is otherwise going to kill him.
Right. Right.
It is the spot that's going to kill him if you hunt it right, and it is the spot that's going to educate everything that you got there if you don't.
Yeah.
And you have to have that patience.
Yeah.
Or,
And I think that's one thing, and I don't know if you use the milkweed.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have two milkweed. So I literally was hunting Mad Hunter yesterday, and Mark, there was a spot that we had found in this grass, and I'm like, I'm going to shoot this deer here. So we were in the stand, and there was a south-southeast, but then it said for about 3 hours it was going to be a little bit more east-southeast. And, through the milkweed, and it went out to the road, and I'm like, man, I'm golden. And like 5 minutes later, I feel the wind on the back of my neck, and I'm like, okay, that's not on the side of my face anymore, that's different. And I put up a piece of milkweed, and the reason I'm telling you this is it's the milkweed forever. Before I met Mark, I bought the powder, puff it, it shows you where the wind's going.
Right there,
that second.
It dissipates.
It's kind of useless, honest to God. It is the, I don't know why I never understood that before, but that's kind of like, what do they say, like tits on a warthog? I mean, they're kind of useless. When you use the milkweed, I let the milkweed go when I felt it on the back of my neck, and you could actually watch the milkweed. Now, it was morning, and my thermals should have been rising, but what funneled the deer there is this cliff. And on the other side of the cliff is a big grassy area where we believe Mad Hatter's bedding. And that milkweed went to that cliff, and it started to rise, and then it just was like a roller coaster. And when it did it, I was like, shit, evacuate. Like, I left my bow, I left everything, and just immediately I was like, poof, gone. And I told Mark, he's like, what's going on? I was like, I wanted to text you first so you knew I left the stand so you didn't have a panic attack thinking I shot the deer this morning, But, the milkweed in all honesty, has taught me more about thermals than anything else. And it's that protection of, you know, you let it go and you're like, it's on the road, I'm perfect. And then, you know, I mean, 2-3 minutes later, it made that switch, and you could watch that. And so, not to beat a dead horse, but, you know, the milkweed definitely helps.
Because the last time I hunted was a few days ago, and I hunted that stand that you just got the picture of the 12 in front of today.
Thanks for coming over today.
That's up on the hill. Yeah, right?
What's your score?
So that's up on the hill, and, you know, we had a north wind blowing up the way it should have been blowing. But I went through 2 pods of milkweed that night because I was dropping it, because I knew as soon as that sun hit the tree line, the thermals were probably going to pull it down, because it was calm enough. And sure enough, about an hour before dark, I dropped one, and it floated. It didn't go down, but it floated right there, meaning it wasn't going the way it's supposed to. And I got down and out. Yeah. And I mean, I hate to do that.
But here's the thing. It's the reason that you will later kill him there.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, and you have to be willing to know, okay, now is the time that it's no longer, the pendulum's no longer swung in my benefit, and I have to go, or he will get me.
Yep.
And when he gets me, this stand is probably done for him.
It's done.
At least.
Yep.
It's been amazing too, even with the neighbors. So we had a neighbor put a blind right on the property line, like one of those special kind of neighbors.
Okay.
And so Mark has had this theory for a long time that mature bucks hate things that flop in the wind.
Yep.
Be your trail camera.
Strap. Yep.
Your strap. Get it tight. Don't leave anything like they just. So I may or may not have put a big American flag right on the pole, right beside the neighbor's blind. And I mean, it's Old Glory. She's flying, right?
It's a big one. It's like 4 foot by 8 foot or something. Like it is a great. But
who doesn't like the American flag? Okay,
it takes amazing pictures.
Yeah,
it takes amazing pictures.
But it is amazing to see how many days we can't hunt that farm in an east wind.
Yep.
That flag is blowing west.
Yes.
Yep.
Because that east wind hits that block of timber. And then it turns it.
Like ricochets it. It does.
It has been eye-opening to Mark and I to look at them. We're like, wait a minute. The wind's out of the east. The flag's blowing from the southwest. Yep. And so we've been kind of just, as we learn.
I've seen it do that with like a tall cedar row also.
Oh, yeah.
It'll hit them cedars,
especially
and it'll
cedars,
just turn.
Right. And that's where I think that milkweed will come in handy. Because
absolutely.
if you're in that, there are other objects that are moving that wind around you, and then like the sun hitting the hillside, you can watch it, and you're like, here we go. So
now there's so many times that you think you know what that wind is going to do, and then you let go of something, and you're like, and you watch it, it flows out there for 10, 20, 30 yards, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, good. And, you know, all of a sudden a straight 90 takes place.
Yes.
And you're like, you know, no. All right, I gotta go.
Run.
But most people don't have the discipline to get down and leave. That's
the difference between that spot ending up being successful or that spot. Because I see one of the biggest mistakes I see a ton of the people do is we get the right stand. We get the right stand in the right spot with the right deer there. All things are green. All of your check marks are go-ish. But the deer has never showed you any inclination that he's willing to daylight yet. And you go in there and you grind him like it's your job. And then all of a sudden, that stand that was going to kill him, had you been patient, ended up not killing him at all. And you ended up educating him to hunters there all the time.
Yep.
And he's just been night timing.
Right.
You know, like the other day with Mad Hatter.
Yep.
So you go back and you start taking all of the body of evidence of all of the pictures that we get of him, and you're watching things play out, and you're seeing, and then, so he disappeared on. So he's been nighttime, fringes of shooting light. Most of the time that's in the morning versus the evening, but the evening has been 20 to 40 minutes after dark, you know, a lot of time. So he's just not really showed that he's willing to daylight.
Yeah.
But then he disappeared for 3 straight days. Off the map. Ironically, 3 specific days. Like almost an estrus cycle of a doe.
He's gonna
right?
say he's on a doe, isn't he?
And then the day 4, he shows up in the middle of the night and he grinds that farm like it's his job. He was on like 4 cameras. He's all over the farm. And I told him, go. Go. I think what happened is I think that a doe popped. I think he bedded down with that doe because he's definitely the man there. Not just because he's got the biggest rack, but he's a 5-year-old. He's that UFC fighter.
Yep.
He happens to have a massive crown on his head. All of that being said, I'm like, go. It's daylight to darks now. It's go time. I think he daylights, and I can't remember the number, the time frame. You know, but I said,
I made a post on it.
That's right.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Mark's like, that deer's going to daylight. You're going to see him at 4:30.
That's what I said.
Hit them horns. At 4:34, he's in the food plot. You know, and we didn't.
The first daylight pictures all year.
Now, he hasn't daylighted since January.
Oh, yeah.
And he just like, yeah, he's going to daylight 4:30 this day. 4:34. And the crazy part
it's amazing, ain't it?
is that deer, it had to, like, we figured out what they're doing, and again, it's just learning for me. Like, I've never hunted in Iowa, these kind of places, but the does are all bedding in the beans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're hiding in the beans. They're standing corn right beside them, and they don't go in the corn. They hide in the beans. I don't know why they're hiding in the beans, but they're hiding in the beans. And every buck comes down the edge, hits whatever wind direction it is, gets where they're downwind, and they grind those beans, and he came right across that bean plot. Now, the picture we got is at 4:34, and I venture to tell you he was in daylight at 4:30,
I'm sure,
working them beans, finding that doe that he got. And then last night, him and his girlfriend, they left at like 2:30 from the food plot.
Yeah.
He's still with her, but she's still bringing him to that plot. So
yeah.
I left that plot today to come sit here with you guys.
You need to get back there.
This, yeah.
Yeah,
because it's those lessons and, you know, kind of seeing it over and over where he just pulls out a ram. Like, that deer hasn't daylighted since January, Mark. He's like, I don't care, it's go. All lights are green, go. You know, and so.
And we were
real close.
We were that close.
Yeah.
Because he was.
We
was one stand off.
One day.
He was. He was there in the blind day before, but where he was at, he was maybe 125 or 50 yards away from that deer in the plot. Like we was.
And it's
so
telltale that he's whooping everyone's ass.
Yeah.
That deer whoops everyone's ass because it's the only farm where, I mean, my hands are all beat up. I wear gloves, and when I crank on the horns, it's 3 minutes, and I set a timer, and I beat the ever-loving shit out of the things, right? And nothing will come to the rattle on that farm unless it's a spike or a yearling. Like, there was one, and I'm like, okay, that big wide one, it's mature, he's 5 or 6, whatever. He was out there, and I'm like, I just want to see. I rattled, he hauled ass. I'm like, and nobody wants anything to do. So, you know, rattling is only effective. Right. It's one dude, you know, and I've got a rattle to get him, but he ain't going to come off that doe. But
he doesn't need to.
No.
Yeah. You know.
He's not taking a phone call to a fight when he's got a girl in his bed.
He's just like, he's got a sign, free ass whooping. Anybody want one, come get some. And nobody wants anybody selling. But it was cool, though. We did see, I seen another, I believe he's a 180-inch deer, 15-inch brows, big, tall, sucker tight, big, tall. And he came off the neighbor's farm, and he looked across those beans, and he just stood there and stared at the beans. And I'm like, what is this deer doing? And I wanted him to get where I could film him. Mm-hmm. And so I'm waiting, and he stood there for 15 minutes. And then the neighbor, Lloyd's like, did you see that big, tall sumbitch the other day? He went right. I was like, dude, I was telling my buddy about him, and he's like, oh, we were sitting at the house, and we were getting ready to go, I think to his son's house or whatever. He's like, we got in the car, started down the road, and he's like, that sumbitch went right up to the cemetery. And I'm like, that's a big deer. I was like, I was thinking it was my deer. He's like, oh, no, the one you're hunting is real wide. He's like, that thing's tighter, real tall. He's like, I ain't never seen a deer that tall before. And I'm like, yeah, thank you for the info. Because he got to see him better than I did because he was in the car and the thing went right across the road, right out in the open. And I'm like, so that farm has another mystery that
good.
we're hoping to solve after.
You got a few.
So
yeah,
but
Yeah, but like I said, then everything came together. We got this sucker down. The other one is still there, and to be quite honest with you, I kind of want Clay to kill that deer really bad because he's played that cat and mouse with that other deer.
That's
a couple of years. No, the other one that has the other drop, and it's on this side too. Like it's and he has another one above it like that too. Yeah. Like it's a genetic I wouldn't mind having them keep in there because I happen to have a stand I feel pretty confident about.
Sounds to me like Clay has a stand.
I hunted it once. Had to take my boots off to cross the creek.
Oh, man.
Hold my boots.
That's the story. That's the story. We didn't tell you. Yeah. Oh, whenever I got him down, I shot him, and he come to help. And he's like, "Where you at?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm up at the truck." So he meets me up at the truck. We go in there, and right before we go to go down, he's like, "Let me get my boots on, whatever." And next thing you know, he's putting on some like mountain shoes, whatever. And I'm like, "Bro,
I didn't know. I didn't know I had to cross a creek."
I'm like, "Bro, that creek's pretty deep." Like I got the. Like I put on those knee-high boots and it's about that far. Like I take really short steps because I don't want to lean too much and dump it full of I did put a big rock down there kind of in the middle of where I can like step out and step on it and get over. He's like, "Well, maybe I'll just put on my rubber boots." And I'm like, "Are those things waterproof?" And he just said, "Nope." I'm like, I said, "I'll just carry you across." Well, guess what?
This is where we needed the video camera running.
We get down there, and he's standing on the little lip there, and I'm in it, and it's muddy. Like the bottom of it's muddy too. And he's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on, you slow guy, I threw him over my shoulder, and I get about 3 steps out there, and I sunk in the mud so bad. And it was just enough that I could just set him off all dry. And I walked out of my boots. So I'm knee deep in socks and mud and water.
Both boots are sticking out of the mud with about this much above the water.
I like to never got my boot out of the mud. I'm sitting here yanking on it.
Oh my God.
I was like, "Oh my God, I'm never going to get these boots out of here." And he's bawling laughing. And he's just dry as a cucumber now. I've soaked myself to my knees. And I get up the bank, and I pull my sock off, and I just water's pouring out of it. He's giggling, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's great." I tried no good. When they say that,
no good deed goes unpunished. Yeah, that's the thing. It's a real thing.
So my question is, in my defense, he had a deer down. I mean,
yeah, you didn't shoot the deer,
right?
Now, my question is, did you ask for a ride back across the creek?
I didn't.
No, he went for it.
Oh yeah, that's right. We both walked across. We were both wet. Both went across at that point. But that was after we found the deer. So
it didn't matter then.
At that point,
that was one thing too. Is I shot him and I was my immediate text was smashed. And usually I've always found that very first thought. If you're like, "Ooh, that's a little high, but I think I'm good." Nope, you're probably high. And if you're like, "Man, I smashed him, but I think maybe a little back." No, you probably smashed him. That's been my experience. I think your eye transmits and picks it up better than your own mind actually processes
get your head a little bit. I think is what happens. Yeah.
I think it. But I'm like, I smashed him. But then, following the blood trail, it was good, and it was bubbly, and it was whatever, and I went about 80 yards, would you say?
Yeah, maybe 60, 80, something
80 yards, something like that, and I put my bow down and everything right at blood, and I backed out, because I just wasn't seeing what I thought I should be seeing at that point in time, blood-wise, on the ground. And I knew Clay was on the way, so I backed out and I went out and got him, and I'm like, "Man, I don't know. I think maybe I should wait, maybe I shouldn't, and I'm like, but I don't know that my mind ain't playing tricks. I'm second guessing myself, and but I just felt like that deer was just smashed. So anyway, I'm like, "Well, let me take you up," because I'd found the arrow about 40 yards into the track. And I had blood because I didn't get a pass through, you know.
Yeah.
And I think I hit that off the shoulder is what I think happened. But there was about 6 inches of arrow that didn't have blood on it, you know. But I snapped it in my quiver. And so I'd set my bow down there at the last place. And it wasn't last blood. It was just where I started not getting comfortable. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like, I feel like I should see him dead by now. So anyway, I backed out just to give it more time, whatever. Got him, we came back, we got to that spot. Did we go 10 yards? Maybe.
Well, we were kind of questioning, but you know, we didn't know because we were saying, do we back out? Do we keep tracking? And I'm like, man,
lots of bubble in these blood.
There's some good blood here.
He's like, your arrow don't smell like it's got gut in it. You know, it's bright red. There's bubbles all over it. It's lung blood. It's
foamy.
You know, and I'm like,
I'm good blood.
And
foamy blood.
You know, I was in agreement. You know,
yeah.
And he's like, let's just push forward a little bit. We didn't go 8, 9 yards. And he was right there.
Where he stopped, I stood there and I looked because it was kind of open. There was some kind of corn edge coming around, and I'm like, man, I don't see him, you know. But you can see a good bit of ways. And I don't see him laying there, so I was making me nervous a little bit. And I mean, he was just over a little rise in a depression, not what 40 yards from where he stopped. Not even, probably 20 yards.
From where I set my bow down,
yeah,
I should have by all rights just been able to look at it.
Yeah,
you know, but there was one clump of grass about the size of the hood of your car, and he was laying beside it, behind it. And so anyway,
yeah, we didn't go about 10 yards.
That's why whenever I first, and he didn't have his phone with him, and my phone was about dead, and I snapped like 2 pictures, and then the phone was done for. So all I had was pictures of Clay with it, and
oh my God.
And everybody.
Then the internet went nuts.
Oh my gosh, the internet went nuts. I got called a liar 72 times.
Oh my God.
I'm like, hey, this is my buddy with it, but this is my deer. I thought you shot a deer. Well, I did. This is my buddy. Yeah, but why would he be in this? like.
I didn't even know you were taking the picture. I was like just looking at the deer.
I was like, man, I've never been called a liar so many times in my life. You know, it's nuts. But
yeah,
anyway.
He posted, "Oh my God," and then it went parabolic. You know.
Well, there was no service really down in there.
There's not.
There's not.
No, if you learned anything from watching this podcast, Mark subscribes to drive till you have no signal and start finding a place to hunt. Because, you know, half the time I'm hunting, I'm like, hey, love, I'm alive. You may not hear from me the rest of the day, but I'm alive. I have SOS, and that's all I have, you know. And that's only because Apple has that new update, and it's like, clear the sky. And I'm like, I'm in a tree. I can't clear the sky.
It drives my wife nuts that I don't respond to her, but I don't know.
Here's the thing, though. Has it not seemingly been true every time?
Well, and that's one thing. I don't know, man. I don't know how to say this any more. Just I'm gonna say it, right? I watch a lot of hunting shows and they shoot a lot of 150-inch deer. We're not talking about 150-inch deer. Every deer we're chasing is over 170 inches. Like these are all big deer, and the fact that we talk with Jake, like we went into the season with 16 booners on these small parcels. And, you know, to Mark's credit, the first big deer we had that was shot by a neighbor was killed on public, and we celebrated with that neighbor. If you're gonna hunt fair chase, your neighbor's gonna shoot deer.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of what goes with the chase. And I tell myself this every day. Would I wake up and be disappointed if Mad Hatter's on Facebook? Hell yeah, I would be. Because I've invested a lot of time and effort into that animal. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't make that guy a poacher.
No.
That doesn't make that guy an unscrupulous sportsman. That doesn't make this... That just means that hunter was at the right place and was earned that time in the seat, you know? And so I think when we talk about these things and in making hunting fun again, part of the fun and the dance is not knowing you're going to get the deer. I mean, the guys that hunt in the high fence, if that's your thing, you know, and we have friends that do it, they're very accustomed to like wanting to see deer all day long when they sit in a blind or they sit on a stand. They want to see nonstop action. That is the downside of that to me, is that it kind of overstimulates them. I mean, the holes Mark has me hunting in, you might not see a deer, but the right deer is going to walk in that hole because Mark has said, like, this is where that deer lives. He will use this path, you know, and my buddy didn't believe him and put a trail camera up and was like, Mark said the doe are going to use this trail. Yeah, right. So Zach put up a camera, and then Mark says, well, this is the trail the bucks use. And so Zach puts another camera where Mark told him the bucks use it. And the first night, the drop tine 8 showed up at the train station on the camera, Mark, and he's like, son of a bitch. You know? So I've watched him prove
Yes.
time and time again that people don't see the woods and the animals, and, you know, and I think a lot of people could say they're the best hunter, and I continue to tell people I'm not the best hunter. I'm still at 0. But I want to learn.
Yeah.
And if we can learn those things from Mark, the way he sees the woods, the way he sees the animals is different, because I know when I talk to you, Clay, you're like, that damn Mark says that deer, he's going to kill it on that tree, hangs it and shoots it in the first light. Are you kidding me?
Oh, he did. You sent me he sent it to you, didn't he?
Yeah.
That
little video?
Yeah.
The video.
Yeah. We
He's
all
like,
got it.
This
Yeah.
is it. And
Yeah.
I'm going to refrain from using the words.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's like, that deer is done.
Yeah.
Like, he's done. And this was the day before when you hung the stand. The
Yeah.
day before he killed
Yeah,
it.
but
So,
I think about people that, like, you know, on my farms, I've owned farms, I own land, and then you're like, I'm going to let all these deer get to be 5, and then I never see them again. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, oh, I guess that deer died. No, it didn't die. I was just dumb. I didn't know what he knew. Mm-hmm. I didn't, and when I say dumb, I'm not dumb as a person, but my hunting IQ was not where it needed to be able to capture them, because my redneck blind was still standing in the middle of a field, right? Like, I had no way out of that blind except for to, like, honk the horn or have cars come or trucks, whatever. So I just think all these lessons are important, because I believe in the future of hunting. I believe that the kids today, they love Instagram. They love pictures of big animals. They dig it. So if we can teach them through Mark how to harvest more of those animals, there'll be more Facebook for us to watch deer porn, because there're going to be more big deer killed. Well, bottom line.
going to that deer that day was probably the most fun I've had in probably 15 years or so of hunting. Honestly, just fun.
Yeah.
It was just fun. No pressure, just fun.
Just enjoying.
Yeah, just enjoying. And I never even went, I never even hunted that day.
Yeah.
But you got to share the stuff.
Got to share it.
And that's the thing about it. Yeah. When your buddy's success is your success, that's fun.
It is.
That's what it's supposed to be.
It is fun.
You know, your buddy's not supposed to be hiding the deer from you because he wants to shoot it and not you. You know, that's exactly my point with the whole thing. The moment, I'll put it like this, my own personal thing. Back in the day, you know, like my buddies killed big deer or whatever. Don't get me wrong, I tried to be happy for them, but my own personal immaturity and jealousy, or whatever you want to call it, was you really truly happy for them? Yeah. About the time I started maturing to the point I was really truly happy and really embraced the excitement and the fun of when my buddies killed deer.
Yes, sir.
Was when all of a sudden I started killing my own.
Yep.
About the time I got to that maturity level. And I think you call it whatever you wish. But at the end of the day, you know, when you start looking beyond yourself,
I agree.
And being happy, truly happy for other people when they do good, you know, when they have a successful thing. Like Cody, I mean, that was a deer I've been obsessing with for a year. Yeah. Literally, you know, and just in the midst of a terrible season. Yeah. You know, whew, there goes the rug, wiped right out from under you too on that one. Yeah. And that could have been a time where I'm not a good person. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that if that is going to come out of somebody, that would be a time at which it'd come out. Right. And in return, I reached out because I wanted to know if by chance this happened to be the deer I thought it was. But I'm also like, dude, it's an awesome deer. Congratulations either way. Even after I found out it was it. I'm like, dude,
Start his
I
whole
think
year. That was the deer he wanted. That was the
that
only.
was my year. My year was based on that deer. That you know, when I say that, but I mean, you know, good Lord blessed me with a completely different one that I had no idea existed a week prior to me killing.
There you go. I mean, that's why I said that's what's fun about it. Like,
it's pretty funny whenever we think we have a plan.
I know,
that's
right?
All I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
That's 100%
we think we have a plan.
Well, and to play on that too, it's just, you know, you got to be able to pivot a little bit.
Have to.
And I mean, everybody does that, right? You get focused on that one deer, and it's you're whatever the reason. You know,
well,
how long did it take you before I used to say, Mark, come on out here, just come hunt it. Come hunt it. And you're like, no, I'm not going to do that to you. No, I'm not going to do that to you. I'm like, I don't care, Mark. If you want to kill it, go kill it. I don't care.
It probably
I don't have time to hunt it. Go hunt it.
It took you 2 or 3 years of that before I even
I
said,
know, which I'm like, I don't understand. I mean, I get, because people are pretty.
I mean, like even my brother, my brother has a beautiful farm here, and he's told me I can hunt. But, you know, he has a son-in-law, and he has some sons hunting, and he hunts. And, you know, I don't want to do, I don't want to do that. You know?
I think it's different for you, okay? If I go hack through your brother's woods before I met you, I ain't going to shoot shit that he'd want to shoot anyway. But I assure you, you two guys, somebody offers to let you go hunt their farm, you're going to kill the biggest son of a fish they got. I mean, it's what's going to happen. I mean, I just call a spade a spade. Yeah. So I think there's more. I think you know your capabilities, and I think you know what you're going to do, and you're not going to go try to shoot a small deer on your brother's farm. You're going to try. No. You're going to. I mean, you don't shoot small deer. So I think there's a social responsibility. I think that you guys feel too, just being around you and knowing you too, and getting to know you, Clay, especially like, you know, And I want to say too, for our people at home, the 22-0 is 100% my brainchild.
Mark, haven't heard me.
Mark did not even know how many deer he killed. True story. I was sitting at his house and I'm like, there's a lot of dead deer in here. Yeah. And there's a lot of booners. How many booners have you killed? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, kind of need to know for the podcast. He's like, really? I said, yeah, and he's like, I don't, and I'm like, well, you wouldn't say that number because you'd come across as a cocky, arrogant asshole, right? So, you know, and we shoot guys straight. So I wanted to know, because I wanted to be able to tell the viewers that, so that way you're not learning from a guy that shot 2, okay? A broken clock is right exactly twice a day, right? So it's not somebody that can shoot 1 or 2. I wanted somebody that had the experience to go hang a stand with you and you watch him and he's like, I'm going to shoot that deer in that tree and this farm I've never been on, and does it on the first sit. Mm-hmm. Clay, you coming on and telling that story just reinforces what I show people and tell people, and I appreciate that you wanted to do that. But the 22-0 is Tim. I'm the one who came up with that, and I'm not trying to like take anything away from any. But it is fun. We have fun with it.
It's a lot of fun now.
It's great. I love it. We get a lot because it could have been 24-0. But you know, I will say, Clay was like, dude, I hope it's 40-0. He's my friend. I'm gonna help him beat your ass into the ground. I'm like,
that's pretty much.
There are very few people in this world that have ever said that to me. Very few people, and everyone who's ever competed with me, I whooped their ass. So to have this kind of camaraderie, it's so much fun, and it is. We want to make it fun, and so please don't hate people and don't say, hey, dude, look. We ran into some fans. He's like, oh, dude, I feel so bad. He's like, and then Mark's checking in. He's like, dude, that's 22-0. I'm like, yeah, it's 22-0. And he's like, hey, man, stay strong. Keep your head up. And I'm like, dude, I'm living my best life ever. Are you kidding me? I get to hunt and chase huge whitetails every day. And Mark is the one who's orchestrated that by picking the farms, by picking the places we hunt, by picking the stand setups, and by putting us in those positions. I just have to be smart enough to apply the same lessons, like abandoning the stand when the winds are not right. So we say it in fun. It is 100% my brainchild. You don't have to feel bad for me. I don't feel bad for myself. I'm living my best life out here and smiling from ear to ear. And I live in a hotel. So, you know, think about that. I mean, the things you hear in a hotel that maybe you wouldn't hear at your home in Burlington are slightly different at 1:30 in the morning. Yeah. So I was like,
you remember a few years ago, my wife, when she went with me to Kentucky, we stayed at a Red Roof Inn, and she was doing the Red Roof Chronicles. and daily updates of the crazy stuff that you got to say. Because there was a bunch of crackheads that were working at the place. And she was there. We were there like a week. Before it was all said and done, she had every one of them's first name, which one was on parole, everything. It was so funny.
Yeah. So, you know, to abandon your Tempur-Pedic and your jacuzzi at home and all the comforts of home and move into a hotel, you know, we are having fun with it. It is meant to be an experience. We are going to be adding a scoreboard because it has become so successful as part of our thing. But it is all in fun, and it is really our way and my way to demonstrate that the person giving you the advice is the person. I searched the country, and, you know, and I'll say this, and we talked about this before we started shooting. You know, it really kind of came down, in my opinion, you know, from the hunter community was really between Mark and Ben Rising, you know, and then Mark's like, well, you know, we hunted together, right? And I'm like, what? It's like, you know, and then there was some background, and they're like, oh man, like, so this world is a small world that we live in, and there are very few people that really see the woods the way they do. But these guys, when you have these guys and you have their time and you have their attention, just ask them, learn, like, you know, because it's every day, you know. If Mark's at my house and everybody comes to it, it is almost obnoxious because it is 3.5 hours of like just, hey Mark, saw a deer, did this, and I got to stand here, and I got 3 stands over here, and the deer was doing this, and then like it is to the point where I'm like, okay guys, can we just like, can we keep question time to like the first 5 minutes? Like last year it was like 3.5, 4 hours a day every night, and I'm like, man, I just don't want to come back from hunting and be hammered with questions. I'm like, I can't imagine how Mark felt. But when you have these legends and you have the people that have the resumes, they've done this enough times to the point even where Clay's like, hey, you know what, man, I have more fun finding them now. You know, it is, these guys are the guys that have really kind of paved that way for a lot of us, and we're trying to give you that information. So I would say that, you know, if Clay's busting my balls, it's in all good fun, and please know that we're laughing. You should be laughing at home too, and it has become, I think, our fan favorite, because everywhere I go, they're like, dude, is it still zero?
And I will say, there's something that just goes to show you, and again, it's kind of off of the you think you have a plan. I think, and I was counting this up earlier. I think we have 5 farms that we've been working on, that we did food plots with, we did, you know, work on, that, you know, that's owned, and 2 leases. So 7 farms, okay? And at the end of the day, when the chips are on the table, I'm knocking on some guy's door on the 30th of October to get permission to, you know, whatever. And it's a valuable lesson. You know what I mean? Like, we can, if you're after a particular caliber of deer, you know, and everybody's different in their own thing. If somebody shoots a 105-inch 3-year-old and it's their biggest deer, we're going to celebrate the same as if it's 107. Last year, you know, Tim made a mistake and shot a deer that was a 4-year-old, but it was 20 inches bigger than any deer he's ever killed. And he's like, man, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. Dude, there's no sorry here. You just shot your biggest deer of your life. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to act like he wasn't happy, because he was absolutely happy. It's just that it wasn't the deer that he shot that he thought he was shooting when he shot it. It was still a really nice deer. And I was geeked for him. And he was geeked as well. But I'm just saying that you know, everybody has their own personal goal or whatever. But we had all these farms, and the deer that I was after wanted, you know, the caliber type, whatever, just wasn't existent there. So I called an audible and then went knocking on doors, and you know, we did our thing. And my point with that is even though we lay out our best plans and everything is played out, you know, it doesn't mean that it's going to play out the way that we've got it designed, or that we think it should be planned. You know, and I was kicked in the teeth literally hours before, and honestly, one of my favorite deer ever. Again, you know, it's got this thing here that goes this direction. you know, in a southbound or a downward type direction. And for me, wow, has that been a long time coming.
It's been a goal of mine, Mark. You know,
I don't.
It's been a goal of mine to find one with a drop since we had that date with the double drops.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it was important to you. I know your history with them, so I'm that's my goal. Is if I find a drop tine, it's Mark's.
And he knows how happy this thing made me. I'm like, dude, my season's made. Don't get me wrong.
I've never seen a hunter pet their phone deer to bed, and I've never seen a hunter wake up in the morning and be like, "Oh, there's my buddy. He's still here." But to say he's obsessive is an understatement.
It's true.
But
it is true.
he put that deer to bed, and he woke him up every morning.
When I get obsessed about one, I mean it just
Laser
singularly focused.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's how the Lord made me.
But then
embrace
those scenarios, and then those scenarios running through your head, or how you end up doing most of the damage you do is on the first day sit. That's.
I will say that.
I've just never seen that. I never even heard of that. I've never heard of people just one day, I'm going to go put a tree here, boom, done. You know, and I think back to we had some friends in Kansas, and they came up on a buck, and I actually wrote a chapter for a book about this in Kansas experience, and Phil and Zach were in a bean field, and they saw their deer, but he was too far to shoot, and Zach was trying to talk Phil into army crawling too, and Mark's like, get out of the field right now, get out, go eat breakfast, go somewhere, relax, go back in early, and he's like talking to them, and I'm like sitting there, and he is just for a guy who's not computer literate, he's working the shit out of this future cast. And I mean, he is pounding that future cast to death. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, hey, listen, here's what's going to happen. That deer is going to come. He's going to be there early tonight. You need to go in an hour earlier than you went last night. You need to go in there. You need to set up, and you need to wait for him. He's not going to bed far. He's going to, boom. So they go to breakfast. I look at Mark, and I go, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, oh, this is Futurecast. Said, what are you looking at Futurecast? He's like, see this thunderstorm? It's predicting a thunderstorm west of their position at 7 p.m. tonight. That deer is going to feel that pressure, and he's going to get on his feet, and he's going to smash him right, probably about, prime time, he's going to smash him right here. Whatever. Cool. Great story. Great story, bro. Great story. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, what are we going to do? And he's like, we're going to ride around. We're going to go glassing looking for deer. I was like, okay. So we go riding around like glass. We get out there, and Kansas has these really special level B roads. Yep. Really special.
They're really special.
Boy, man. Anyway, we're riding around, and sure as shit, we pull up to the farm where they're at. He's like, we should probably get over there. And I was like, where the guys are hunting? He's like, yeah. He said, we just pull up front. We'll just sit out there and wait. So we pull up, and we're there 5-7 minutes. I roll the windows down. It's nice, cool, finally. He goes, your boy just killed him.
Just killed him. This is a true story.
I look at him, and I'm like, bullshit. But I did hear the gunshot, right? And I'm like, come on, man. And then 1 minute later, Zach, oh, he shot him. He got him, Phil. I'm like, no shit. You looked at Futurecast and predicted that little cell was going to. Man, you see shit different. Like, I just don't I've never seen anybody use that tool the way he's just grinding this.
So the deal was it was raining coming into that daylight that morning, and then the rain stopped. Well, a little ways after daylight, and there was movement. They seen him then. Yeah. And then it was supposed to stay decent for the day, but then right after dark, a significant rainstorm was coming, or another, cell was coming through, and I'm like, he's going to hit that window before that. Yeah. He's felt that. It was raining all night. He had a late breakfast, if you will, and probably wasn't all he wanted.
Yeah.
And I thought, my thought process there was, he didn't get to move till late, as well after daylight. He probably didn't get the time at which he wanted to in, you know, and he was going to bed down. And because of that next front coming in right at dark, I think he's going to move early, and he's going to feed heavy, you know, hardcore, right, you know, early.
Yeah.
And it absolutely turned out that way.
It was his biggest deer. The biggest deer he's ever killed.
Biggest deer he's ever killed.
100, I think it was
160 some odd. It's 8 points.
62, 67. Yeah, I mean, it was a big.
Well, you mentioned this to me, I don't know, the other day, I think it was. You said what comes common sense to you about deer hunting isn't common sense to everybody else, and that's true to a degree. You know, or it's a different perspective of that common sense. Does that make sense? And I think a lot of people can see it, but they don't have that extra inability to the details.
Yeah.
The details.
There are people that harvest big animals year in and year out. But he thinks like that.
He does think.
And that's what I think makes it so unique, is that I really am like, I just, there's so many times I'll walk away, and then like to hear you say the same thing, I'm like, man, we got to do a podcast. Like, we got to get you on. And you're like, yeah, you know, because, you know, listen, I can say it till I'm blue in the face, and maybe you think there's a reason why I say it. I just, you know, our thing is no bullshit, guys. We shoot you straight. The dude thinks like a mature buck. I don't know why he thinks that way, but God made him that way, and I have watched it time and time and time again. I don't know anyone that hasn't seen a deer daylight since January of this year, and 11 months later says, he's going to daylight today at 4:30, and at 4:34 he daylights. On camera, proof, in writing, the whole thing, the text thread, all of it. I posted it online so you guys can see it. Like, so it's that uniqueness that I think, you know, when so many hunters call him to pick his brain, it's because of that aspect, that one thing of like, I've killed a lot of big deer. I know what this deer's doing, but I can't seem to catch up with him. And then Mark has that aha moment of like, oh, have you thought of this? And like, the next day the deer's dead, and you're like, huh.
Well, and there's so much garbage out there now too that everybody's, you know, everybody and their brother's got, you know, a YouTube channel, a hunting channel, whatever. I don't watch that stuff anymore. You and I were kind of talking about this the other day.
I think I'm on to something. That beaver moon that was yesterday.
the beaver moon was lit.
Hey,
there was beavers, all right. There was in the moon.
We had a 200-inch deer walking. They're daylight hour. I'm telling you right now, beaver moon's my new favorite hunting day.
Oh, man.
I don't know how many we get. I don't even know what the hell a beaver moon is.
I've never even heard of it before.
But apparently, I don't know, beavers move a lot during that time frame.
My point is everybody believes that stuff because that's what's out there.
Yes.
Right? I'll watch it, and I don't watch a lot of hunting stuff like you. As a matter of fact, I was going to ask you, what is your favorite thing to watch hunting-wise? Do you watch anything? Do you ever watch a YouTube?
I would, you know, yeah. So I'll tell you what I do. I you know,
it's pretty funny.
Good one, right?
Oh, it's a great question.
Well,
because I know the answer. I'm gonna keep them honest.
Typically speaking, I will scroll through the thumbnails till I see drop tides.
Are you serious?
Or big shit.
Yeah.
Or big shit.
And then I click on it, and then I watch it, and that is about the sum of you know. Here's the thing: a lot of the shows and a lot of the podcasts, and it's just there's a lot of just trash out there. And again, I'm not trying to be elitist or anything like that. I'm just saying the misinformation. And then the problem is the social media gives everybody a platform. Right. You know, and I'm not going to say anybody's name or anything like that, but just the other day I seen a short, it was a video short of a podcast, and some guys are talking, and it was flat misinformation. What was being said was absolutely false information.
Yes.
And let me digress. It was partial information at best.
Right.
You know, it's like when somebody doesn't want to say the truth and they're just omitting saying the thing, you know, and the way that it was weird to me because it's a group of guys that are claiming that they're, you know, habitat managers and wildlife. Oh, they got a degree in wildlife biology, you know, and they're all this and that and the other. But then they're on a short saying, and they're a consulting too. And again, I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just making reference to this conversation.
Yeah.
They then turn around and they're talking about how that there's this deer. There's just nothing you can do if you own or you're in control of a small piece of property. If that deer has 8 or 9 or 10, 8 or 900 acres or 1,000 acres, he's going to walk on. He's going to walk on 8 or 9 or 1,000 acres of property. There's just nothing you can do. You can just hope to kill him when he passes through inside your little small piece that's inside that court of his.
False.
And that's a false statement. I'm sorry. It is. Not only is it false, I can prove it. I can bring all of the receipts that you'd want to do. There's a deer he's hunting right now that 2 years ago showed up on the farm once, but through proper, taking pressure away from the property and not having human intrusion, giving him all of the nutrition that he wanted, making better bedding, doing all of the things that there's that little box of prerequisites that deer wants. Because, and I'm telling you right now, and I don't care what part of it, because this was another thing. They're like, if you come down here trying to consult in this area of the country, and you think that deer are doing that, you've lost your mind, and I'm like, because I had stated that typically speaking, you get this core of 600, 700, 800, 900 acres, whatever, yes. But usually that deer spends, 90+% of that time inside 60 to 80 acres inside that 700, 800, 900 acre area. And they
want that to be yours.
You want that to be yours. So if right now, if nothing about your farm is better than the neighbors, if you're truly assessing it and you're like, well, what makes my farm better than the neighbors? And that answer is, it's as good as Joe's and it's as good as Bob's, but it's not as good as Jan's, in the food category or whatever. You just got to honestly assess your property and then go start trying to provide what is lacking on your farm to give him everything that he wants on your farm and try to start sucking him into there. Because if he spends 90% of that time in your little parcel inside that core, all of a sudden you've moved him in and your odds of shooting him exponentially are better than they was prior to that. And I'm sorry, but that's a false statement. And it actually, in my opinion, was an alarming one for somebody that is taking money from somebody to be a consultant to then go on the public and say, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Just good luck.
Grin and bear it.
Good luck, everybody.
Yeah.
It don't make any sense to me. And it's false. It's literally a false statement.
Yeah.
And when you push back a little bit, and it wasn't a bad situation, but I'm just saying, when you push back, you're like, I just don't really agree with that statement. Everybody has that platform, and then they cut you off, if you will, and then you no longer can make a statement to it, But
there was a graduate student at the Mississippi State Deer Lab, and I sent that one to Mark. I'm like, we'll watch. I watch all their shit on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm fascinated, but again, I don't hunt bears. I don't hunt turkey. I don't hunt grouse. I don't hunt pheasant. I only whitetail hunt. I give this, my wife plays tennis, and every hunter has this experience. You have a home, you have a family, you have all these things. And the big breakthrough for me was when I told my wife, well, we both love to play tennis, but I said, what if you can only play tennis 90 days a year?
Yeah.
And that hit her differently. She's like, what? And I was like, it's your favorite thing to do, but what if you could only do it for 90 days? Would you not want to spend all 90 of those days that you could, as much as you can, and then, oh, by the way, we put Halloween, we put Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's all in that package. So, I'm kind of screwed right out of the gate, and kind of put that into her terms. But when you see this, like the Mississippi State Deer Lab, we'll watch those in their videos. And there was a graduate student, and it was one of the ones we want to go down there and film with them. But they did that, and they said, yes, deer have this range of 900 to 1,200 acres, but they spend 90% of their time on plots that are under 80 acres. And that's a specific number. Once it was over 100, it was no good. So I think back to Toby Stay when, you know, we had an unfortunate situation. I was buying 400 acres in Iowa, and we had some stuff go on behind the scenes I can't talk about. And so I was essentially, I was not able to procure the property. And Toby was very gracious and understood, and they had refunded my money, and they were super awesome guys to work with him and Bobby. And Toby came to me and he said, hey man, listen, when you get all that stuff right, come back and let me show you how small farms will change your life. You know, you buy a big farm like that and EHD hits you, you're going to cry. Yeah. You know, he's like, you lose 2-3 years. He's like, but if you have multiple farms, small, and then we tried to put as much markism on those farms. And I mean, commonly, like I woke up in the blind the other day, and I don't know, there was 47 raccoons.
I don't know if you noticed that statement. He said, I woke up in the blind.
I'm like, it sounded like there was a party outside, man. And I'm like, what in the hell's going on, man? And like, they're on the steps eating corn, they're just having a good old time.
Well, you know as well as I know, like every year I lose at least 3 trail cameras to coons.
Oh,
every year.
Coons are the worst.
They just
they destroy everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're curious and they want their
they
paws
break
and
them, they rip
everything,
them off.
flip it over. Oh,
Yeah.
I got one right now laying on the ground pointing at the sky right now as we speak.
Yeah.
That sucks.
And the coon flipped her over there too, didn't
I
it?
guarantee he ripped it off. I actually had it on a holder screwed into the tree and strapped.
You know how many times I've had, you know, you get all these pictures, deer and all that stuff, the next thing you know, you get like a paw.
Yeah.
It's like all and then there's all these hairs.
Yep.
And then it's all like just, and then nothing. And you're like, oh.
Yeah. I tried to shoot
And that camera's 4 hours away.
Yeah.
I know, right? That's the other problem.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I can't believe this.
Well, we really wanted to have you on, and we're so happy you came, Clay. You know,
appreciate it.
We've started. It's kind of weird to meet fans. It's kind of weird. I was talking to a guy for 30 minutes. He's like, "Shit, you're the dude who gives away the free farm." And he was like calling his wife, and it was awesome. He's like, "Man," he's like, "if y'all would do me a favor," because I asked, I'm like, "Hey, is there something you want to see?" He's like, "Man." He's like, I could just sit and listen to you and Mark cut it up and talk about deer hunting. He's like, can you just do a show kind of about whatever the hell y'all want it to be about? And just, so I thought this was a cool environment to do that, where we could talk about broad discussions, talk about how successful that was, how good of a friend you are to want to beat me 40-0 for Mark, you know, and the fact that I had to listen to Taylor Swift 3,000 times. Yes, yeah.
We wouldn't do that.
No. But it's all,
Not me.
it's all in good fun, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. We'd love to have you here. And if I, get the flu or anything, I think I'm going to have you as our guest host. Right. That's what I mean.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Clay.
You bet. Thank you.
And if you want to pattern one up for somebody else other than Mark, just call anytime.
I texted you the other day. Where's Tim? I sent you that one from that other permission.
Oh, yeah. He didn't send that to me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching.
Right.
This probably got a damn drop time.
That's next year's.
Hey, listen, thank you as always. We'll see you next week. Follow us on YouTube. All you have to do is subscribe. You're entered to win the farm free. No raffle tickets, nothing to buy, no hoax. Just trying to keep it real for you guys. These legends, they come in here, they talk. You should listen. I've learned so much from them. I'll continue to learn. We'll continue to bring you those lessons. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.